Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Real Talk podcast. I'm your host for today. Well, not your host. I'm just introducing us. I'm Jared.
I'm Jacob.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, this is episode 13 of the Real Talk podcast. So, first of all, thank you all for being here for 13 whole episodes.
Yeah, I know, right?
I actually genuinely can't believe it's already episode 13.
I know.
So, I think we're going to start today off by talking about Swamp Thing. The new trailer came out this week, and we have some very, very strong opinions about it.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
It is really creepy.
But I like that.
I'm really digging it too. It's in the same universe as like Arrow and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the TV universe definitely lends itself better to the sort of weird, almost horror style.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the only way that you could do Swamp Thing because he is a monster. So, like, he's a monster that dwells in a swamp. Like from what I saw in the trailer, there was a lot of like revenants, like bringing people back from the dead, like using his powers and all that kind of stuff. Which is is that part of Swamp Thing's
It's
character?
more a possession thing from memory. It's been a long time since I've read a Swamp Thing.
I've never read a Swamp Thing.
They're good. They're more like Dark Horse comics, sort of.
I do
like horror comics more than they don't feel like DC comics. Even though like DC comics obviously has that that dark aspect to it with like Batman and Daredevil, things like.
Has Dark Horse ever
Daredevil,
done?
but,
Has Dark Horse ever done a Batman comic? I feel like they have. I feel like Batman would be a good character to put in their line of comics.
I don't know if they have. I think they may have had some hand in the like the Batman versus Dracula stuff, that sort of gimmicky side of. Have you not read Batman versus Dracula?
No.
It's one where he becomes a vampire.
That's awesome.
That's
really cool.
Yeah, it is.
I'm definitely gonna give that a read now.
Oh, it's great. There's
I'm surprised the guy that I go to the comic book shop regularly, and I'm surprised that he's never told me about that. Maybe he just doesn't have it.
It's sort of like it's a gimmicky. I think it may even just be like one small graphic novel.
Oh, right.
It's not like a series. Along the same sort of lines as you get like Batman versus Predator, and like a few gimmicky ones like that.
I have read that. That's cool.
They should turn that into a movie.
There's a short film.
Like an actual movie.
Oh, yeah. What?
Not a crowd-funded one.
But even the short film of that's pretty awesome. I like, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, the Joker gets taken away and then he ends up fighting a predator with batarangs. It makes no sense. It's stupid, but it's just awesome.
Yeah, and the Batman versus Dracula one sort of follows the same suit, and then he becomes a vampire to stop him.
Nice.
But then you get to see the actual Batman.
Yeah, like
because he's like
the vampire.
He becomes
Batman.
a vampire. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Which and again, like that character lends himself so well to like the horror setting. So let me ask, what do you think of the Swamp Thing costume, the way he looks?
I like it. Yeah, they're staying true to the character. He actually looks horrifying. Well, not horrifying. He looks creepy. I like that the first time you ever see Swamp Thing, because I think in the latest trailer, when she falls out of the boat and she's trying to get onto land, but she's like in the swamp water, you see him climb out slowly and stumble around, all that kind of stuff. So, like it looks like something, because Swamp Thing is kind of like, it kind of looks like something out of like the old 80s horror and the monster movies, kind of like the thing for like the monster from the Black Lagoon, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he does sort of have that air to him.
I think that's what they were going for. I have no idea if that's what they were going for, but that's what I felt from it.
Because he's a good guy, but he's not a hero.
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Because
his whole shtick is...
He protects the green.
Yeah, he's like the world's most violent member of Greenpeace. Or maybe not most violent, but he's got to be up there.
Yeah. I was about to say something about vegans, but I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah. For our opinions on vegans, go see the Buttsmart.
He has a strong opinion on vegans.
Yeah, he
I
has
don't find-
he has a strong opinion on everyone.
Yeah, it's a strong opinion on everyone. I don't think vegans are that bad. I think they're annoying, but I don't think they're that bad.
No, I don't think anyone's that bad, really.
Except you're a vegan.
Except, yeah, if you're a vegan or a cyclist.
Sorry to all vegans, but you know it's
But
true.
not cyclists.
But not cyclists.
Getting way off track
We're
here.
getting a little off track.
So you'll watch Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I'll definitely watch Swamp Thing. Is it CW?
It is CW. I'm a little bit nervous because they tend to have a really good first season and then slowly sort of drop off.
They drop from grace.
Excluding things like Arrow had a really good second season.
I like
and then
Arrow.
like its third season was a bit
I
meh.
think like when they started to I did like the I really did like the first season. Going back and forth to like from the island and all that kind of stuff. I think when they started introducing super soldiers with Deathstroke.
Yeah. But even that wasn't bad. Do you know, my issue with Arrow starts in like season 3 when they do the Ra's al Ghul stuff.
Oh yeah.
But I think half of my problem with that while I was watching it was that it was straight up just a Batman storyline.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
I never watched.
It's almost exactly the Batman storyline where he goes and he fights Ra's al Ghul and he gets stabbed and he gets kicked off a mountain and he comes back. That's a Batman storyline.
I did like because I did read a little bit of Arrow, like the Arrow comics. The what's his name again? Like his alter ego.
Oliver Queen.
Oliver Queen. I did read a little bit of his comics, and it was a refreshing take on the character because he's a very witty, he's a very funny character.
I don't like that they took that away from him for the show. They made him Batman because they didn't have the rights to Batman.
They didn't have it yet.
And you're like, they didn't give him the sort of snarky wit. And I thought maybe for the first season it was him sort of readjusting and it would sort of come and it just never did.
Well, like he is kind of funny, but he's more like a stoic. I'll do what I have to do to protect my city. It's very Batman.
It is very Batman.
It's very Batman. But that being said, I did like the first season. Wasn't a huge fan of how it's played out. I think now it's just gotten out of control.
Yeah, I think they just filmed the last season, and I'm kind of glad that that's where it sits now. I think the Flash is still going to go, and Supergirl's still going to go, and
Supergirl's still going.
They're introducing.
Is Krypton? Krypton is.
Krypton is a prequel, and yes.
Is that started?
I don't think it's started yet. I know Batgirl starts soon. I'll watch it. I'm still not 100% sold on it.
Apparently, Gotham, the Gotham TV show.
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it.
I liked it.
I hate it purely based
season.
on the fact that it shits all over the source material.
But like the only thing I didn't like about that TV show, Gotham, was that like they're really on the nose with the with the bad guys and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like for example, like I haven't seen it in that long. I haven't seen it that long, but like when Catwoman.
Yeah.
When Catwoman comes into play, she they call her like the cat burglar and all that kind of stuff, and like that she's gonna be like there's no subtlety to it. It's just really on the nose.
Yeah, there's no like, who's this? And then all of a sudden they become one of the Batman villains. You're like, that's clearly Batwoman. That's clearly Riddler. That's clearly the Penguin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The Penguin arc
Penguin
I kind of get.
Penguin was good. I like the Penguin. They didn't go full on like Danny DeVito with it.
Yeah.
Make him like a stubby little fat guy.
Yeah. Actually, while we're on the subject of DC, allegedly, this is all allegedly, they are making Constantine 2.
Constantine 2?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever watched the original with Keanu Reeves in it.
Oh!
Yeah, apparently they are going ahead with the second one.
Yeah.
Which I like. Constantine is one of my favourite characters. So.
Yeah.
And I do genuinely like that film. So
That movie, was that DC property?
Yeah.
That was.
Warner Brothers, yeah.
That was Warner Brothers. Okay. Because I remember watching it, but I remember watching it when I was really young. So I can still don't know why I was allowed to watch that movie when I was young. But yeah, I just I don't really. Where can the story go from here?
I mean, what was the end of the last one? Is it the Archangel?
Oh yeah, when all I remember were
And
they're in like a hospital.
she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna come back for you. So, and it makes sense. Like, there's a lot for the character to do, and now that they've gone into the sort of the dark side of DC now, it probably fits better. And I'm quite happy to see Keanu Reeves keep kicking ass and stuff.
Yeah.
Which actually, funnily enough, brings us on to John Wick, which we
Yeah.
saw this week.
Really enjoyed
initial
that.
thoughts?
I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Our review for that is out,
It's out.
and
Yeah.
we gave it
I
4.5 stars.
I gave it 4.5 stars.
I agree with 4.5 stars. It's brutal, like, absolutely brutal.
It starts off
Like
so
within
brutal.
the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, but like, I do like what they did with it. It does this. I like with these movies, like with the John Wick franchise, they are not. It doesn't skip a beat between each movie. Like between each movie, if you watch it back to back, it just keeps on going.
Yeah, the whole 3-movie arc takes
It just starts
like
off
2 weeks, I think, in
Yeah.
like movie time, which is nothing considering like you think in the last one he went to Italy
Yeah,
and like he went to all these places and they did all the prep, and then he's gone in this one. He's gone to Constantinople.
yeah. Man. I love it so much. It even starts off just 100 miles an hour, but the first thing, I love it. The first thing he does, gets the dog to safety.
Yeah,
You got to get the dog to safety.
which fits the character. Without going into too much spoiler territory, there's a line because like John Wick is famously a man of very little words.
Yeah.
Even like, I think he mainly just looks at people and goes, "Yeah," which I love. But the
I'm
bit
thinking I'm back.
the bit with the dog where she's like, "Oh, you got my dog," and he's like, "I understand."
I get it.
it. And you're just like the whole cinema was just like, ha ha, I get it, it's because they shot his dog.
I didn't shoot this dog.
They beat us to death. Yeah, but I feel better if I say they shot it.
Yeah, I do too. But and that's why everybody liked the first movie, is because it was really relatable. Like if someone came in, if you had the skills, if you had the skills, would you go on a rampage if someone killed and like brutally murdered your dog?
I think in the same context as like if you were in the same position as him, yeah, I think I probably would have reacted the same way.
I probably wouldn't have killed them. Probably would have beat them, but
Yeah, like if your entire life up to this point has been
just
and like they
Like, if your job
introduced a
was-
bit of his backstory in this, where he was raised by the Russian lady, and like they raised ballet dancers or assassins.
Is that a spoiler?
No,
No.
not really. I'm not going to go into too
No,
much
not-
detail.
no.
Also, it's right at the very beginning.
Yeah, it's at the beginning.
But like with that, so if your entire life you've been training to kill people, and like killing people isn't a huge thing for you, then yeah,
Yeah.
wiping out an entire mafia to get back at your car being stolen and your
And I do
Your dog.
like I do. Oh, I completely forgot what I was going to talk about.
no, that's alright.
But I do. Oh, I just remembered. I do like how in this movie they do delve into his story, into who John Wick is. Like it does bring that much more depth to the character. Into
Yeah,
why,
it's
like
not so much on the nose. Like they don't do the whole flashback thing. There's just a few conversations that add a bit more weight to things that have happened, and it sort of it starts to explain how he got the name the Baba Yaga, which I love.
Yeah, it's such. Like, imagine if you got that nobility of being the world's most notorious assassin, and you were codenamed the Baba Yaga. Like, at some point,
It's just awesome.
It's awesome. Like it's such a cool franchise.
And I guess it's not really a spoiler per se, but as of last, I think Tuesday, 2021 is the set release year for Chapter 4.
2021. Yeah, because he wants to. He has to do
Bill and Ted, and
and Ted.
possibly Constantine if the rumors are true.
Yes.
So
Also, very much looking forward to Bill and Ted.
I am super looking forward
Is
to
it a
Bill and Ted.
reboot or is it?
I think it's a sequel.
Right.
It's like slash reboot, sort of. That's sort of the area of how they're doing most stuff these days.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are expecting the franchise to end,
You're wrong.
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
I do like the ending.
I do too. It's simple but effective.
I do think that there might be a few months time jump this time. Not too much time because that's really against the whole John Wick thing. But
yeah, I feel like
with how they left everything off, I can't see them not really doing a time jump without going into reasons why. It's obviously spoiler territory.
Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do. I wonder what they're gonna call it. But they could probably just go simple and call it John Wick final chapter.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. If it is the final chapter.
Yeah, final chapter ?
I would suspect at this point it will have something to do with the High Table. It might even just be called John Wick Chapter 4, The High Table. Because while it's been mentioned in the first two, whilst you don't really you see one member.
You see the only member of the High Table who sits above the table.
Yeah, so you still don't know who the members of the High Table are. Which I suspect we've met more of them than they have led on.
Yeah. I do like how they delve more into the history of, like, it's almost like an Assassin's Creed movie, but done properly. Like, in modern day Assassin's Creed, like, they delve into where it all began, and...
It is what Hitman Agent 47 should have been.
Yeah. I remember watching that. That wasn't great.
It's not terrible, but it's also not great.
It's not great. I mean, it's a Hitman movie. What more do you expect?
Yeah,
if you want a good Hitman franchise, play the games.
Yeah.
Same with Assassin's Creed. If you want to see a good Assassin's Creed,
yeah. If you want a good Assassin's Creed story, go and play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
That's why they're there. But yeah. So it's got a whole bunch of more brutal action scenes, a few twists and turns here and there.
Yeah.
Obviously, from the trailers, you've seen the introduction of the Halle Berry's character with the two dogs.
She was one of my favourite characters.
That scene, that fight scene you see in the trailer, the whole thing, is my favourite part of the movie.
Yeah, I love.
It's just.
Like I'm assuming the dog. Like I'm assuming like saying the dogs are my favorite. That's not a spoiler. Is it? The dogs are in the trailers.
The dogs are in the trailer. So there's in the trailer you see the scene where the dogs jump over the table and she slides underneath it.
Yeah.
And that is just like that's not even the most awesome part of that scene.
It's not.
And I just like this is my favorite part of the John Wick franchise so far is that the action scenes are done with very few takes.
Yeah.
Like it's not cut, here you are. It's like it's one steady cam and a lot of just like you can tell like well rehearsed choreography with very few stunt doubles, which I'm really impressed with. Yeah,
like the only times where you could definitely see, but you could definitely know that was a stunt double.
The few scenes with the motorbikes.
A few scenes with where there's high speed chases and motorbikes and all that.
Where you need someone who's
trained,
super skilled at riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'm definitely with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if we keep talking about John Wick, we're gonna stray into sort of spoiler territory.
Yeah.
So we might wait till maybe next week. We'll do a little bit of a chat.
Next week we'll do a bit of like more of like we'll do.
I think if we get time, we might even do like a little like a 20-minute
breakdown
thing of just the John Wick franchise so far.
Yeah.
Because there's a few techniques that are used that I think go almost unnoticed and definitely unappreciated.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we can talk about that one because you actually mentioned to me as we were leaving the cinema. You mentioned to me, you pointed out all like the
use of lighting,
and sound and all that kind. That was another thing too. I'm going way too much into the technical side of it.
Yeah,
but there's so much.
I know
stuff.
what you mean. It's the scene with the ninjas.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack over that.
Yeah.
I love it.
And like, probably should keep majority of this stuff for next week's breakdown of it. But still, there's so much stuff about it that's more than just an action-packed. Like it's not like it's more than just a fight, like a movie with fight scenes in it. Like even the fight scenes are done with the utmost, they're just another form of telling the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're not just happening for the sake of we need a fight. There's a point to it. There's a reason to why, and there's a reason for everything that happens.
Yeah, it's not at no point is there mindless violence.
No, there's no.
Like even when like John Wick's killing hundreds of people, it's to get to a point. Like he doesn't go into a place with the first one. Yes, his express intention was to murder his way to Theon Greyjoy.
Yeah.
And then the second one was more like a defensive, like he was forced to go after him, and now he's just doing it to survive.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes in the next one. For now, I think we'll talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the second trailer was dropped.
Yeah. This
week, with like a closer look at Charles Manson.
Are you excited for it?
I'm very excited for it. I love Quentin Tarantino movies. The soundtrack lives up to... It's on, like, Pulp Fiction levels of great at the moment, which I'm stoked for. It's interesting that he's using an actual time period and actual events to mix in with his story. He's not really done that before.
True. I mean, like... yeah, you're right. I was about to say Inglourious Bastards, but nah, not really. That's a complete...
I'm finding Obviously, we've not seen much of Charles Manson at this point, but he seems to be handling it quite delicately at this point.
Yeah.
He's not glorifying him at any point.
No.
He looks genuinely creepy in the trailer.
I'm excited to see, from what we could gather from the trailer for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is that the actor, like the stunt double and the actor, are going to be the main focus of the movie.
Is it Rick Dalton and
somebody else? I can't remember.
Whatever Brad Pitt's character's
name is.
And typical Brad Pitt.
Typical Brad Pitt, but I feel like they are going to be the main focus of the film. I think the Charles Manson...
Cliff Booth. So Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth.
I think they're going to be the main focus of the movie. I think the Charles Manson family is going to be just kind of like something that's happening.
Because it looks like
because Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Like his character, I think lives next to the actress who was murdered by the Manson family.
Yeah, so at the moment he's living next to the first victim of the Manson family.
Yeah.
Which is obviously going to tie in huge, because it looks like from the second trailer that the stunt double, Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt, is going to be... Like, is at the very least going to be introduced to him.
Yeah. And I like what they did with Charles Manson too. They made him look very creepy, very sinister. Because... And also very, like, kind of... He was very creepy, sinister, and also kind of approachable at the same time, because that's how a lot of people saw him. Well, they saw him as Jesus, but, like, a lot of people worshipped him. I don't know why. I think they were all just really high in the 80s. But,
yeah, he was very good at persuading people.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he committed many of the murders himself.
No, he persuaded a lot of people to do it. I think that's also going to be, like, another part of the movie, because Margot Robbie, who plays the actress murdered by the family, the people who did it, they were convinced by Charles Manson to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and maybe Leonardo DiCaprio's character is probably not framed, but heavily questioned for it because of how close he lived to her and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So from the two trailers you've seen, what's your favourite bit?
I really do like that Leonardo.
It's the dancing.
The dancing. I really do like that. But I also do like the not from this trailer, but from the first trailer.
Was it the Bruce Lee bit?
It was the Bruce Lee.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
It's my favorite.
It's like my hands are lethal weapons.
My hands are
If I get into a fight and you die, I go to jail.
Anyone who dies in a fight against
anybody who kills anybody in a fight will go to jail. It's manslaughter. It's just, it's very Quentin Tarantino. And like, that's very much his sense of humor.
That guy, I don't know if it's the same actor, but that guy who's playing Bruce Lee, I don't know if he's going to have a huge part to play in this movie, but the guy who's playing Bruce Lee in this movie, I think he played Bruce Lee in another movie called Enter the Dragon or something like that. Enter the Red Dragon or something. It's a really action-packed, really cool Bruce Lee movie, but he plays Bruce Lee, and it's really awesome.
That's pretty awesome. I know there's a few...
Enter the Dragon. No, that's the one with actual Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Never saw that. I want to.
You should go and watch it. It's actually not a bad movie. So I think, because there's a few other actors, like real-life actors that have been like casted in it. Like, there's someone in there playing Steve McQueen.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, there's Bruce Lee. There's whoever Margot Robbie plays, whose name escapes me.
Yeah.
So there are like other actual actors in it. So it's a weird mix of like reality and fiction.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Margot Robbie's character, a lot of people, because I watched like a press conference the other day with Quentin Tarantino, and a reporter asked, why did you hire such a big name actor and talented actress to play a part that's very small and not many lines? Was that just for publicity, or was that just for marketing, or to sell the movie? And he just goes, I reject your hypothesis. And that's a very Quentin Tarantino thing to say.
It is a very... I like it. I reject your hypothesis.
Because, like... I think that's kind of like a... But the thing is, she's a very important character in that movie.
Even if she's not in it.
Even if she's not in it that long.
But I think that's always been his thing, isn't it? He hires high caliber actors to play important parts in his film, whether or not it's a huge part or a small part. I mean, he put Mike Myers in Inglourious Basterds. He's in it for 20 seconds.
And he put the guy... He put the watch in his ass.
Christopher Walken. In Pulp Fiction, yeah.
He put him in Pulp Fiction.
He's in it for 3 minutes. He makes a joke about shoving a watch up his ass.
Yeah.
But, like, his whole thing is he hires whoever he thinks fits the role, not how important the character is.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah, and obviously, Margot Robbie, she's a very intelligent and talented actress. If she knew that this wasn't going to be worth it, then she wouldn't have taken the job, I would assume.
And also, I feel like at this point, like, this is the 9th Quentin Tarantino film. He hasn't missed a beat yet. I feel like, regardless of how big your part is, if you get cast in a Quentin Tarantino movie, that adds a lot to your stock.
Yeah. I was actually talking to somebody about that the other day, and, like, exactly what we're talking about right now. It's like, big name actors and actresses, he always puts them in his movies. Like, big or small parts. Like, I think, I agree with what you said. I think it's awesome to be put in a Quentin Tarantino movie. I feel like it's like a rite of passage. If you get put in a Quentin Tarantino movie, Spielberg movie, or even like I think it might just be those two. Who's another big name director, like, who's been around for ages in Hollywood?
Michael Bay. Couldn't say that with a straight face.
No.
Yeah, it's like the modern day equivalent of being in like a Kubrick film or something like that.
Yeah.
Someone of like that sort of like caliber of director. Like there are very few directors out there who have, like, just being the director of a film adds weight to that film.
Yeah.
Like you've mentioned Spielberg.
Yeah.
He's one. James Cameron. He's another. Putting James Cameron on the front of any film is a recipe for billions of dollars.
Even Ron Howard.
Ron Howard, he's a very underrated. I feel like at this point now the Russo brothers are one.
Yeah, the Russo brothers are a force to be reckoned with.
Their last few movies, even before they started doing Marvel films, are just outstanding. James Cameron. I mentioned James Gunn is another one.
James Gunn. But there's
a few out there now. Like I think J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams.
I think since he rebooted the Star Trek franchise, sticking his name in the front of stuff is
doing
huge.
the episode 7.
Episode 7. Now he's doing episode 9. Even just when he was announced that he was doing episode 9.
Yeah.
It gave the fans who didn't like Last Jedi. We're not going to go into that now.
Nope.
But it gave them
That's for a later podcast.
Yeah. I imagine just before Rise of Skywalker comes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when it got announced that he was coming back to finish the franchise, that it boosted confidence in this movie.
Yeah. Well,
Like whatever the lost confidence was, I personally didn't have any. I knew that it would be good, but I liked the last one.
well, that's the thing, and I know we've talked about this before, but I think that's the whole point of Star Wars. Like, it's a fantasy franchise that each director brings something new to the table. J.J. Abrams brought something new to the table. He kind of he tweaked it a little bit, put a little bit of his flair onto it.
Yeah.
Cinematically and also story-wise. And then what's his name? The guy who did the episode 8.
Rian Johnson.
Rian Johnson. I don't know why I forget his name so much.
It's probably because you're trying to forget.
But even he tried to bring something new to the table, but I think
he did bring something new to get. I actually think that the people's problem with Rian Johnson is he brought too much new stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's nothing wrong with like that. That was everyone's bitch and moan about episode 7 was that it was too similar to the old one, and then he tries to bring something new to it, and it's like it's too different. Bring back the old stuff.
Yeah, without going too deep into that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
I do think that the problem is that we, in this age of internet theories and stuff, we put a lot of weight behind fan theories.
Yeah.
And then when none of them come true, so when all of them come true, it ruins it for us because we're like, well, we could have written this.
Yeah.
But then when none of them come through, it's almost like some fans feel robbed.
Yeah. Robbed of a story that they never wrote down.
Yeah. It's a bit like that.
Yeah.
But putting that aside, we'll go further into
when Star Wars gets a little bit closer, then we'll go.
We will do similar to our Marvel podcast. We'll do a big Star Wars one.
Yeah.
Which I think we're both pretty excited for. So I think Star Wars is currently slated for the 19th or 22nd or something of December.
I think 19th. I can't be sure. I honestly haven't heard that much about it.
It's very, very close to Christmas regardless.
Oh, then it's probably the 22nd then.
So we'll do one before then. Obviously, the week or so before that, we'll do a big Star Wars podcast where we'll go further into this stuff.
Yeah.
However, talking about disappointing fantasy franchises. So Game of Thrones is finished. I did mention last week that there were going to be 2 episodes. That was because I was wrong. Which, yeah, it does happen.
It happens.
That's what I get for not writing stuff or looking stuff up before podcasts. Not a mistake I made this week. It's a lot of people are angry about it. A lot of people they're defending it. I'm not angry about it. I'm not even disappointed. It just feels flat.
I mean, I've been hearing that from a lot of people. A lot of people feel somewhat robbed from the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm assuming everybody has seen the ending now.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it now, you're probably not a huge Game of Thrones fan, in which case you're probably about to turn this podcast off. It's probably the last thing I'm going to talk about anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to play both sides of this, okay? So, a lot of people are angry, a lot of people are happy. The people who are angry are saying it was wasted and it was bad writing and all this stuff. The people who are defending it, they make a very valid point. It's that if you go back and you rewatch it, the ending for most of the characters was set up seasons and seasons and seasons ago. Heading into spoiler territory now, so if you are going to watch it but haven't, go and read all of our stuff,
Mm.
and then come back next week. Actually, go and watch pause this, go and watch Game of Thrones, and then come back and listen to me talk about it.
Yeah.
My problem is not with how the ending of the characters, like, was played out.
Yeah.
It was how we got there.
Okay.
So Bran ended up on the Iron Throne.
Yep.
Which is not the Iron Throne, because the Iron Throne got melted by a dragon.
I saw that.
Which I like the Iron Throne being melted. That makes sense, because that's like that was the symbol of what everyone was killing each other over for in the first place. So now that that's gone, it makes sense that like it's over. So we'll start with Bran becoming King Bran the Broken. Was the only bit that I actively disliked.
King Bran the Broken.
Yeah, so he's crippled.
No,
Yeah.
shouldn't be laughing at that.
Have you not? There's a meme going around where it's just like Tyrion's like Bran the Broken. And he's like, Bran's just fine. It's like Bran that can't walk, and he's like, that's really is like something. He's like wheelie legs no feely.
Oh my god.
And you're like, yeah, it was basically like calling him Bran the Broken was a bit of an insult.
Yeah.
But like, they made him king, and like Tyrion doesn't make him king because he has no authority to. But he convinces everyone else to do it, and he's like, he should be no king because he can't bear any sons. So the sons couldn't then go around and kill people because his theory is that the sons of kings are bastards, basically.
Yeah.
In the not so literal sense of the term.
Yeah.
So like his sons wouldn't be like assholes to everyone and become king and then start the cycle over again.
Yeah.
And the other reason is that because he doesn't want it, therefore he would make a good king.
That's a terrible reason to make someone
Despite
king.
the fact that Jon Snow, who kills Daenerys, which makes him the actual Carl of the Dothraki, who are the horse people with the sickles.
Right.
Because that's how Dothraki law works.
Yeah.
He is the rightful heir to the throne in
Yep.
the first place. Technically, the only one who has the blood to control the dragon who is still left alive. And also spent an entire season saying how he doesn't want to be king. So, there's your answer. The guy who has a right to be king should be king and doesn't want it. Those are your 3 yeses.
But they gave it to a guy.
Instead, they arrest. Well, the army that followed Daenerys arrest him, and then they bugger off back to where they came from. And then they send him to the Wall, which doesn't exist anymore, to the Night's Watch, and Jon goes into the north with the wildlings and stuff. And you're like, it just feels empty. Like they needed to give everyone an important job to do.
Yeah, it didn't feel satisfying.
And I think what led to a huge part of that was that there was a huge episode last week where there was like a 45-minute fight and then 45 minutes of Daenerys blowing stuff up with a dragon.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but also like I'm not sure how that plays out.
Yeah.
I'm not really comfortable with that either. Again, I just don't agree with how they did it. Like they've won and then she just goes, oh, bugger it, I'm going to kill them all anyway. Whereas I feel like if they were losing or it was like an even fight and then she'd lost her temper and that was how she clicked, that would make more sense. And again in this one it's like there's half an hour of story and then like 50 minutes of basically an epilogue, which is it just feels empty. Like I don't like nothing needs a 45-minute epilogue. Nothing. Right. Lord of the Rings was pushing it at 20 minutes. And they did actually have 7 stories to finish up.
Yeah, true.
And in this one, they're just like...
They did that well. They did it
yeah,
well.
they did do it well. And, like, again, that probably could have been shortened. Like, there was stuff in there that they didn't need.
Yeah.
And this one, you're just like... It just keeps going. And the longer it goes, the emptier it felt.
I mean, like, everyone that I've spoken to about the last Game of Thrones episode of the season, they've all said, and we've, like, all agreed that it probably could have been like they probably could have stretched it out to a few more episodes at least. But I feel like the guys who wrote and direct this last season, don't know if you know most about this. They weren't going off a book.
No, so the book ended at the end of season 5. They haven't had a book for a couple seasons now.
Yeah, so they were doing pretty well.
They were doing pretty well up to this point. I feel like,
but they dropped the ball on the last season.
I think what happened was they got told they had one season left.
Yeah,
and then they realized halfway through this season that they needed another season, but they didn't get it.
Yeah,
which is obviously unfortunate. And now that I've had time to stew on it, I don't think it ruins anything up to this point. Again, you're just left feeling like, maybe we deserve something better.
Yeah.
Which is, again, disappointing, but I still think that, like, 5 to 10 years away, we'll still be looking back at this like that was the defining moment for TV. Like, before Game of Thrones, there were no, like, TV shows of this level of proportion. This paved the way for things like, you know, you've got basically all of your massive, like, Netflix TV shows and, like, overarching, like, storylines throughout TV shows. It was all set up by, like, this series.
Game of Thrones kind of lit the fire.
Yeah. And, like, it could have been the worst ending on the planet, and it still couldn't have taken that away.
People still watched it.
Yeah, so...
It's like that line from Straight Outta Compton, when they're driving and everyone's destroying all their records and running them over with their cars, and it's like, I don't care, they bought the motherfuckers.
Yeah, well, that was it. It's like, they bought them. Like, you're not gonna... But that's not give the money back, yeah.
But I feel like... But going back to the whole, them kind of shooting themselves in the foot with putting it all into one episode. That being said, I didn't know that they didn't have a book to go off after season 5. So that tells me that they are good at what they do. They just didn't have enough time to finish it off the way they wanted to. I feel like they kind of ran out of time. Like, the story required another season, probably. But they just didn't have the time.
Yeah, which, I mean, is unfortunate. And now you got what we got was what we got. Yeah, there's no changing it now.
You got what you're given. And because these guys are now writing and directing the new Star Wars Old Republic franchise. Star Wars Old Republic.
Allegedly. Star Wars Old Republic franchise, yeah.
Allegedly. And everybody has been kind of like, oh, they destroyed Game of Thrones. Now they're going to destroy.
It's like they didn't. They had one off season.
They had one off. They dropped the ball. Granted, they dropped the ball in the last season. They still did great. They still did pretty good, apparently, on the other couple. So I think, and they're obviously very talented. And I think you and I were talking about this before. We keep on going back to Star Wars, but you and I were talking about this before, that if Kathleen Kennedy, and if I'm assuming George Lucas would have something to do with the picking, with the hiring of the people who would look after his franchise. I'm assuming he would have something to do with that sort of stuff.
I think he did when it initially was handed over.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much power he's got now.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I hear, J.J. Abrams still calls him and asks for advice and stuff like what would he do in this situation.
Yeah, but I'm assuming Kathleen Kennedy hasn't done anything to hurt the franchise yet. If anything, she's actually done a brilliant job.
She has done a pretty good job.
To grow the franchise from what it was.
She can bugger off with that whole the Force is female thing, though. That could fuck right off.
I have no idea what you're
talking. Excuse my language. So she's running this thing for ages. Basically, she's trying to female empowerment, which I'm all for.
Yeah.
I have nothing against that.
Yeah.
It's the phrase "the Force is female." Well, it's not. It's a magic power. It doesn't have a gender. It is a magic power.
Yeah.
I see where she's coming from. Yes, And I think that having a female main character for Star Wars is huge, and it's important, and I really love Rey as a character.
Yeah.
She's probably one of my favourite characters in Star Wars. I still think that, and this is going to go slightly into like a sort of political area, I don't think that pulling things away and going, this is for women now, is going to do anything more than if you'd done it the other way around.
Yeah. I don't see why they have to make it just for...
I don't see why it has to be about gender.
Yeah.
Like, it's a family film, it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Which I think is more we should be promoting. It's like, this is for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, stop bringing all that political crap, PC culture into it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go any more into it because that's another 3 hours of me ranting.
True.
Which we don't need. I was going to cut it there. I just wanted to bring up quickly, I watched Raising Kratos this week, the documentary on Cory Barlog and his team at Santa Monica Studios who made God of War, the game of the year last year. Please go and watch it. It will put into perspective how much hard work and time goes into making these games.
Yeah.
I think that I was talking to you about this yesterday. I feel like we're losing the appreciation for great games.
Yeah.
Like if something's got like a minor bug in it, we go, oh haha, and we take photos and we stick on the internet and we go, look at how shit this game is. People are sinking years of their life into games like this.
Yeah.
And obviously for God of War it paid out. They did get, I think, on average they got a 94 rating out of 100, which is huge, and they got 20 something perfect scores, which is almost unheard of, and like it is hands down was the best game of last year, and I called it.
And there's no cuts,
like there's no loading screens, which is like, it's really hard, and it's 2 hours long, so it's pretty long for a documentary, but it shines the spotlight on bad, not so much bad, but like hard. It's hard to put it. It's basically things like crunch time, which are seen as negative, but like the team, it's not corporations going, you need to do 60, 70, 80 hour weeks to finish this game.
Yeah.
It's people going, I have to put 60, 70, 80 hours a week into this game because I need this game to succeed because it's been your life for 5 years.
Yeah.
Just please watch it. It'll change.
It does.
It'll change everything.
Yeah. From what you've told me, I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it, but it does kind of shed a light on game crunch time and all that kind of stuff.
And I think we'll do some more, we'll look around some more stuff. I think there's an article coming out soon on that, and I think going into the future we will talk more about stuff like that, stuff that's affecting the industry as a whole, not just like the consumer side of stuff. Because obviously Rockstar got into a fair amount of trouble when Red Dead was released, or the weeks leading into the release of Red Dead, because they said that they were doing 60-hour weeks.
Even NetherRealm Studios.
NetherRealm Studios apparently is the worst, obviously with Mortal Kombat, because they just weren't ready for that game to come out, so they started sinking like 90 hours a week into this game.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for things like Mortal Kombat and Red Dead and God of War, they pay off, but then for every game like that, you end up with situations like Telltale Studios, who
just
sunk hours and days and weeks and years into games and then just closed their doors. Leaving sort of everyone in the lurch. So we'll leave that sort of there, but just go and watch it and sort of see the development side of games and stuff. So I'll leave it there, because otherwise we'll be here for hours. 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week. So I think that's the podcast for today. Movie of the week, which I remembered to do 2 weeks in a row.
You saw me look down.
Aladdin. So we're seeing Aladdin at Brightburn this week, so expect reviews for those by
I'm gonna
at least one by Monday. Hopefully both by sort of Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll see. Maybe if you're lucky, one
both in 1 week.
Both in 1 week, because there's a huge couple of weeks we've got.
Yeah, just means we're going to be busy.
We are going to be busy, so which means you'll be getting a lot of content, because we've got Aladdin and Brightburn this week. We've got Godzilla and Rocket Man next week, and then we've got.
I completely forgot about Godzilla.
Yeah, which is how huge this week has been, and then obviously we're heading into like June. You've got. I think Spider-Man, and you've got Tolkien, and there's a few other huge things coming out. So we're flat out basically for like the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's not even looking into like games that are coming out that I haven't even had a chance to download.
Yeah.
Like Plague, The Tale of Innocence, which I really want to play, and haven't even got a chance to download because I haven't finished Days Gone yet. Thanks for adding an extra second map in there, you bunch of bastards. So you can find us all on social media. Our Facebook page, Real Talk Pop Culture Discussions. Instagram, we're _Pop Culture Discussions. So go on there, like all of our stuff. We're still trying to like become more and more active as we go through. I think we're getting there.
Yeah. We're learning.
We're learning. We don't do social media, except for you guys. So. You can follow me on Twitter at Review by Lurch.
You can follow me at JaredKiddo1. I know, creative.
Obviously, all of those have links to our account, so you can go read our reviews and our articles.
Yeah.
Remember, we're on YouTube now,
yep.
as well as SoundCloud. So if you're on SoundCloud listening to this, we're on YouTube. There's a few of our live streams up there.
And if you're a good fan. If you like what we're saying, if you like what we're talking about, do us a favor, demolish the like button on the YouTube, please.
Yeah, and share with all your friends. If you like what we're saying, tell a friend, they'll tell friends, and then we'll get bigger, and then we can bring better content and more content to you guys at home.
Yes.
We will be doing a live stream this week, I believe Friday.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll be doing a live stream on Friday. When we have a time, we will let you know closer to the date. That will be on all of our social media accounts.
Yeah.
Another reason you should go and follow us.
Yeah.
And along with a time, we will announce what game we are playing, which we have not decided yet.
Not yet.
And that's it. As always, guys, keep it real.
Keep it real, guys. Stay sexy.